I think that the fact that Kweku Kwarteng is a member of this administration, a key member of this government, and his comments tie in, to the situation on the ground and what the NDC has been speaking about is heartwarming. Kweku Kwarteng has been consistent with regards to the specific issue of the management of the economy, borrowing, excessive borrowing, and also ensuring value for money. Years ago, I remember the late President Mills, in his era, it must have been 2009 or 2008, the budget had been read, and we were in the studio with Kweku Kwarteng. I was moderating right here, Metro Television, in your old side. It was Kweku Kwarteng and Fifi Kwete who were my guests. And at that time, we had hit single-digit inflation, and the debt-to-GDP ratio was hovering around 65%. There was hue and cry.
When it was 65%?
65%. I remember distinctly Kweku Kwarteng raising issues and determining that at the rates that the borrowing was going, we were going to reach unsustainable levels. And that at that time, the average was like 70%, and we were around 65. So he insisted. I said the entire MPP campaign was about the mismanagement of the economy. The Akufo-Addo-Bawumia campaign was about and has always been about the economy. At a time that we're doing debt to GDP ratio of about 65%.
Having gone close to the threshold of 70%.
Having gone
close,
but not there.
Beyond. Okay.
But not there.
Okay.
But not there.
Okay.
Having an inflation, a single-digit inflation, which they used to, parry, because they used to insist that what is the obsession with single-digit inflation when A, B, C, D? Today, they are struggling to keep inflation within reasonable limits. The point is that if you look at the face of the statistics, you see, economists and politicians will always use statistics to make a case. If you look at the period that JM was in government and how much he borrowed, about $44 billion. And the public debt by the time he was leaving was close to 120 billion Ghana cedis, which at the time was about 56% of GDP. What did the finance minister tell us last week? We have reached unsustainable limits of $742 billion. This is our public debt, and it is 70.6% of GDP. 2 years ago, it was 104% of GDP. Yeah. We are not paying our debts. You know that. Unprecedented things have happened under this government. Unprecedented things where we saw how many MPs were there, Annie, over 60 MPs of this government rise up to complain about the mismanagement of the economy, appealed and petitioned the president to remove the then finance minister, members of the New Patriotic Party. That was telling. Today, Kweku Kwarteng, a member of parliament, a finance spokesperson of the NPP, is telling us that we are running the economy like a Ponzi scheme. That is telling. It means we are in a bad space and we are in a bad state of affairs. And the NPP always parrying. Just now, before we went on the break, my sister tells us that they have managed Hajj better. When Hajj was 11,900 cedis, it was not good. Hajj is 75,000 Ghana cedis. 8,000 pilgrims had to use the back door because of this. And yet our sister says that today is better. The MPP faces a conundrum in the face of the facts, in the face of the same indicators on which they judged the NDC as incompetent managers of the economy. On the face of these same facts, the facts do not bear them out. Because you cannot use those indicators. And what would they tell you? They will tell you that they are where they are because of Russian and Ukraine war. They are where they are because of COVID. They are where they are because of global financial crisis. And I'm saying that global financial crisis is everywhere. And leaders everywhere are facing local consequences for their management of the economies. The United Kingdom in France, Europe, leaders are facing consequences for their mismanagement of the economy. So NPP, MPP and Nana Bawumia cannot plead. They cannot plead global crisis to move themselves from accountability. Accountability will come. And accountability is already coming even from members of their own administration. So what are we offering? The philosophy. And I want to say thank you to a number of people. I want to say and single out Her Ladyship Justice Sophia Ekufu, the immediate past Chief Justice, for rising up to the call of duty and calling out the wrongs that we are seeing, because we are increasingly seeing a society whose moral voices have dimmed. Why have they dimmed? They may have dimmed because these same voices were vociferous in their demands for accountability in the time of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and rightly so. Because when you vote leaders into power, you must hold them strictly accountable to the social contract they have entered to with the people of Ghana. The inconsistency in the same voices rising up today and speaking truth to power and demanding accountability is what leads me to the conclusion that there is a problem. If they are not speaking in the volumes that they spoke yesterday, it might be because of one or two reasons. One, they are either disappointed wholly in this current government, they have been betrayed in their trust in this government, or they are fearful about the repercussions of speaking out against this government. The Chief Justice, the fourth most important person in the land then, has come out to share some very succinct words of wisdom. To those who have ears, let them listen. She is disappointed. She says she sees no hope in the face of Ghanaians. She is disappointed, and she says, this is a Chief Justice, the vanguard of rule of law. She says that this country is being mismanaged. She said she sees no hope in the eyes and faces of Ghanaians. So many things she has called our attention to, and that government has deliberately run down snakes. She's one of the voices to come up criticizing the speed with which we want to dispose of snakes' interest in these hotels. These are telling. If you're not going to listen to the NDC, listen to these voices. These are the lone voices of conscience still in our country, drawing our collective attention to the decay that is happening, the disentanglement of our fabric, our moral fabric, our social fabric, our political fabric happening right under our unwatchful eyes. And she says, beware. I congratulate her. Also Kweku Kwarteng for his consistency and for his bravery and for his boldness in speaking out against the germane issues, the structural issues on which His Excellency John Dramani Mahama called for a national debate. Because you see, when you are told that when the economic fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And today they come again with another logic. But when the exchange rate is bad, it does not mean the economic fundamentals are weak. We are confused. I think the NPP is confused. I think the leaders of the NDC of the NPP, the leaders of the NPP, they are confused. They are confused because they do not know how to ferry us out of the crisis that and they have brought us into. When John Mahama called for a national debate and consensus in tackling the structural challenges of our economy, challenges that every government will face, because unless we deal with the structural issues, where our country is still largely what? Import driven, where we are not primary producers of the majority of our products that we use and the services that we use, there will always be problems. In the face of the difficulties, the needs of the society, the social needs of the society, we are implementing a free senior high school program. I'm going to read out to you this document, the Citizens Compact, which was prepared by a group of CSOs under the convening of ASET, highlighting deep challenges with different sectors of our economy and the solutions, which are the same solutions that today the NDC is proposing. This is a voice, because I'm saying that sometimes we quickly discount NDC's, statement on these issues because you think it's politics. So we must make reference to Afrobarometer, which has today told us that under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the Democrat, that he has shown increasing high-handedness, that he has shown, against the media, and that he has seen to the running down of institutions. You saw the report. Today, 87% of Ghanaians, according to Afrobarometer, not according to NDC, not according to John Dramani Mahama, Afrobarometer says 87% of Ghanaians believe that we are heading in the wrong direction. There are many people in Ghana today who are even fantasizing about a military option as the better option. From about, 78 to 58%. I forget the figure. I wrote it somewhere. But I'm saying that there's been a decline.
Okay, I think the report of the Afrobarometer is there. So if producers, if it's there, you can actually give us a slide.
Just to add, that's really not even my main point. 87% of Ghanaians believe that we are heading into the wrong direction. And one of the travesties of this administration is they very quickly, set up institutions, and then they turn around to run down those institutions. Ghana is ranking 70 in the Corruption Perception Index. And do you know the reasons for it? Ghana is among the 23 countries who have fallen in terms of the poor quality of governance and the poor quality of the fight against corruption. And at the height of it, in the report, they said injustice and problems. And injustice occasioned by the weakening of the justice system and state institutions. What do we see today? A special prosecutor's office bedecked with problems. The first OSP, Martin Amidu, resigned after writing a long missive and bequeathing this nation the phrase mother serpent of corruption. Martin Kaiser Amidu, the first OSP. His replacement came. Today, he's become a philosopher. He sings dirges. He tells us that he sings a song and said that me breswa na me ko ankwa noma me de me kra amanyame me ye de metumi aye me breswa na me ko. After iterating so many challenges in the fight against corruption, and so we know that under the leadership of the current leaders, Nana Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, when you fight corruption, it fights you back forcibly.